And let's talk about Fast X. And now, when I heard about this story, I was like, the juice. And of course, it got to do with Vin Diesel being messy and his damn sister, which comes as no surprise with this whole situation, especially them allegations about him allegedly SAing some assistant and then the sister trying to cover it up. So let's get into the story. So I'm sure y'all remember hearing like back around when Fast X was being made that Justin Lin dropped out of filming the film a week into production. And so he was like, okay, I'm out of this bitch. I quit. It's just stuff going on. Immediately, if you really think about like how this industry works and stuff, or any sane human being, y'all would think, okay, there's drama brewing behind the scenes. Why else would a director who's directed many of the Fast and Furious movies all of a sudden abruptly walk away from directing the last film in the franchise? And then, well, so far, because we're supposed to get the part two situation. I don't know when that's happening. We got Vin that loves to gaslight us on social media with updates, but we haven't heard anything. We haven't gotten a specific release date. I mean, we already know when they're going to actually start filming the Batman Part 2. That T came out today that in the beginning, according to the production news stuff, beginning of January. But we still don't know when y'all going to make a Fast X. And when was the last one come out? Like 4 years ago? So what's taking y'all so long? But so he walked away, and then they brought in Louis Leterrier, who did, I believe, he's in a couple of movies, but the one I could think of on the top of my head that he did was the Jason Statham movie, The Transporter. I think he only did the first one. I can't remember if he did all the other sequels. But Louis Leterrier, he's done a lot of action films or whatever, and I guess he kind of fit in that mold of the over the top action type stuff that they do in that he's done. So they picked him to be in the film, and I guess he just went with he was just a hired gun at that point. So filmmaker Justin Lin helmed the Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, F9, and was on board to direct both Fast X and the eventual 11th and final installment of the franchise, which, as I say all of this, still hasn't materialized. However, Lin was replaced by as directed by Louis Leterrier following reported creative differences, as they always say. But those of us who got eyes and got some common sense was like, okay, creative differences. That means some shit was going on behind the scenes, and we don't know what's going on. But there's a new book that's coming out called "Welcome to the Family." Perfect title, by the way, by author Barry Hertz, which is spilling the tea on what may have led to Lynn's departure, revealing that he walked away from Fast X after clashing with actor Vin Diesel. Well, color me shocked, did that this would be the reason why people want to walk away from the show because, once again, Mark Vincent being difficult. Now, according to several high level sources in the production, allegedly, I should say, Lynn had hit his breaking point over the steadily increasing creative tensions with Diesel, as well as difficulties with the star's sister slash producer, Samantha Vincent, who often acted as Diesel's emissary. Reveals an excerpt shared by IndieWire, via ActionNews.com. A key source of discord centered around the script and its ending. They said while a cliffhanger was always part of the Fast X plan, several drafts of the screenplay also hinge on a jaw-dropping twist in which Dante, played by Jason Momoa, is revealed to be the true father of little Brian. So little Brian was actually Dom Toretto's kid with Elsa Pataki, the cop that was in Fast Five, and she's appeared in the other films, and they killed her off. That's Chris Hemsworth's wife in real life, but they killed her off. He wound up taking care of the kid. Him and Michelle Rodriguez, Letty, they ended up raising the boy, and they were trying to say the twist is she was pregnant by Dante, who was the villain in Fast Five's son. Which I'm like, when did she get pregnant by him? And how are y'all gonna work that in? So I don't. But here's the thing with Fast and the Furious, they always like to teeter on soap opera territory with a lot of things, and they'll start putting things in the movie that I'm like, that don't make no. Like, when did this happen? Or people that supposed to be dead are actually have been revived. Like they killed off Michelle Rodriguez, brought her back. They killed off Han, brought him back. They killed off Gal Gadot, brought her back in the last one. So people don't die in this franchise, apparently. So Universal Pictures But also, they said some members of the film's team felt that the late game turn was the perfect, if deeply dark, way for Dom to reckon with the concept he held most dear: family. Others, including Diesel, felt differently. Well, yeah, now y'all would have kind of went into soap opera territory. It was like they said it's your child, and now it's not. And now we're doing like this whole twist that kind of feels very Maury Povich. Like, no. So Universal Pictures reportedly wasn't sold on Lynn's idea for the final action set piece, a sequence described as over the top and featuring Dante using a giant excavator-like machine to wreak havoc. Now, Alexander Witt, an veteran second unit director and cinematographer, explained it was really the ending that needed work. It's difficult to describe, but the machine eats things. The bad guy goes down, gets into this machine, comes out and starts eating cars. It's like a Transformers movie. It was totally out of context with the movie, I thought. I thought it was a little too Marvel. And the problem was it would have all been CG. Although we ended up with all CG in the end, from the moment that Dom jumps over the dam in the final film, it's all CG. Now hold on. So we can go into space. We can go and take the car, hook it to a magnet, and swing across a freaking cliff, and you can and Dom could jump out of, well, when Letty is actually flipped off of a tank and is about to lose her life, and Dom could jump from his car and catch her and fall on his back and then not break. But a machine that eats cars and stuff, that's over the top. That's where y'all draw the damn line with over the topness in this franchise. Okay. I was like, what planet are we on? Yo, y'all be blowing my mind with this. Like, the level of just head scratching stuff that's in this franchise has me cackling. But anyway, let's get into the rest of what they said. So, Screen Rant, meanwhile, has shared a few additional details from Welcome to the Family, including scrap plans for Peacock exclusive TV shows revolving around the characters like Roman and Tej, a young Dom, and Han. That he said the idea had been to bulk up the catalog for the platform as it struggled to survive the raging streaming wars, with the young Dom series following Diesel's character before the events of the first movie. Vinnie Bennett, who played Dom in F9's flashbacks, was eyed to star. As noted, we should say that the film does not have a release date yet. Dwayne The Rock Johnson is supposed to come back as Luke Hobbs. It seemed like he and Diesel squashed they beat. Remember when they was at, what was it, the Golden Globes or the People's Choice, one of them damn awards. They were like, "Hey, Dwayne," and said that in the audience, and everybody started laughing awkwardly. And I think that was last year when they did that. And so it seemed like they did that. And then Vin went on his Instagram. He's on 104 million followers yesterday, where he basically shared a picture where, let me pull that up for y'all. He shared a picture of him doing a script read with Dwayne in bed because remember in one of the Fast and Furious movies he gets injured and he's kind of like out of commission for the duration of the movie. So, and then he writes basically this whole story about the Smashing Machine and how he knew was it Mark Kerr and how they became friends, and basically talks about Dwayne's performance in the movie and stuff. So yeah, if y'all want to read that, y'all can pretty much go over to his Instagram and read that. But for the most part, with this whole situation, I like the Fast and the Furious movies. I like Fast Four because Fast Four is when they finally started to kind of get the juices going with this franchise. Fast Five was like one of my favorites out of it. Then it was like Fast Six, love that one too. Fast Seven was okay. Then it was like, I think that was the movie where we lost Brian. It's not his name though. Paul Walker. We lost him, and then it was Fate of the Furious, which I thought was all right. Nine was bad, and then Nine wasn't a good movie, and then Fast X was god awful. I have not watched that movie since I saw it in the theater. And I'm looking forward to, because I've been so invested with this franchise, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this whole franchise ends. So I'm kind of excited to see where they go with this. But this whole situation is kind of like, Vin Diesel, you don't have the best track record when it comes to your ideas working for a franchise and the franchise being a box office success. You did Babylon AD, that movie was trash. You did that last Witch Hunter movie, which was god awful. And now we got for some godforsaken reason, we got a sequel coming. I love Pitch Black. Chronicles of Riddick. it was like, why did we go from the whole low budget grittiness of Pitch Black, and then all of a sudden you want to do this sci-fi action adventure that was kind of teetering on Star Wars s vibes? I didn't kind of like that direct, or Dungeons and Dragons in that way. I didn't kind of like what you did with that, and then you came out with what was it called? Riddick. That was all right. You tried to go back to form, but I think it was too late. And don't even get me started on them Triple X movies. So you've been trying so hard to kind of teeter this career into what you wanted to be as an action movie star, and you kind of always pissed on the franchises that actually gave you success, like Fast and the Furious. And when all them other things wasn't working, then you want to come back to the franchise. And yeah, y'all, we like the over the topness of the action, but then it started getting borderline ridiculous once we got to the. I would say once we got to 9, that's when it's really. I'm like, okay, now we getting ridiculous. Now, y'all, now we going into space with a car with some duct tape on it, really? And and to be honest, nobody wants a in regards to these spinoffs, nobody wants a Roman and Tej movie. Roman and Tej is actually, if y'all don't know, Roman is no, Tej is Ludacris's character on the show in the film, and Roman is Tyrese. Now we know you're probably gonna have to go with younger people because they're both men of a certain age. They, they're 40 something. And Roman was always annoying to me. So no, I don't think we want a Roman and Tej spinoff. Nobody's gonna watch that. It won't even last a season. A young Dom movie, I don't think anybody cares. I mean, if you want to do movies that's spinning off from like his son and make him older, like age him up like y'all doing Sidney Prescott daughter, where you age him up and then he's kind of doing like taking over the mantle what his father was doing. And then if y'all actually steer it in the right direction, it's like, oh well, now he caught up in some criminal stuff. Or maybe what y'all could do is kill off Dom, right? As a way to spin off the series. The son seeks revenge. He goes to jail. The corporation, whatever, the CIA, whatever, takes him out and be like, you know what, your skills is too damn good. You and your team, we want to use y'all to kind of like bring down the bad guys. If that's kind of like a turn that y'all can go in and do that, I think that'd be a fun franchise to watch. Because I thought that's what y'all was going to do with the Fast and the Furious, and then it's like y'all was having an identity crisis. I don't think y'all knew what y'all wanted to do with this franchise. But a Han series, first of all, Sun Kang is one of the best characters that y'all created for that franchise. So I definitely feel like Han deserves his own spinoff. So that'd be the only one I'd be willing to watch. But anyway, we're saying all that. I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this tea that was spilled from about the behind the scenes shenanigans of why Justin Lin walked away from the franchise? Nobody, neither one has spoken about. Vin hasn't said anything. Uh, Justin hasn't said anything. So this is coming from a book. I don't know if it's authorized or unauthorized. We just know the book is out there and they spilling behind the scenes stuff. But then again, based off of Vin's reputation and certain things we've heard about, the way he moves and stuff, I wouldn't put nothing past that any of this is most likely true. So I would love to hear from your overall thoughts. So drop those thoughts down in the comments down below.